Right. Coach Helen, that's me for YouFit Studio again. Let's give a little bit of a hello. Right. Could talk about how to play the game of hunger. Because I think it is a game. I genuinely do think it's a game. I kind of irritate myself playing the game, but it's also quite rewarding to play the game sometimes. And I talked about fullness. It's really important if you are on the goal for losing weight to get comfortable with hunger. Now, I've talked about hunger in depth. I'm quite passionate about it. It's not something to fear. I've talked about that. I don't genuinely believe you can constantly lose weight without experiencing some level of hunger at some point. And how you manage it and how you cope with it can be the deciding factor between success and... I'm not going to use that word. Success and not losing weight. Shall we say that? Okay. And I've talked before about what hunger looks like, and I'm going to articulate this again because this is a very common theme. And I'm sorry if you've heard it. You're going to hear it again because it is important. Someone hasn't heard it again, so she can hear it. Essentially, we live in a very anti-hunger society, as in... it's not very often you don't have to go that far, do you? Let's be honest. Really, at the minute we only go as far as the kitchen, which is what 30-second step, right? If that, unless you're working in the kitchen, and then it's like this: hand, fridge, open, food. Right? That's literally how close we are to food at the minute, and that means that hunger doesn't have to be something that we suffer, right? At all, really. We can choose to not be in hunger instantly. Now, when I work with new clients, we definitely talk about hunger in the first month, actually. Yes, I do. With online clients, yes, I do. Because of that, because we're at home a lot, so we're close to food. So giving into the willpower, I've done that live willpower and all the rest of it, and having and saying no and everything else is all rolled into it. And also part of it is being able to sit in hunger and not give into it, and not instantly kind of like, all right, I don't have this, I don't need it, I can get rid of it. Right, and someone's perception of hunger might be complete fear. Like it's fascinating with, and if you're in your journey, cast your mind back to perhaps how you were before you started working with us. Hunger is something to avoid at all costs, right? And why? Because there's a perception of hunger. I've done my drawings again. So this is the perception of hunger. I'm just gonna get it on both screens and get my face in as well. So perception of hunger is this yonder line here. So perception of hunger is, as soon as I get hungry, I don't know, if you say this is like the line of hunger and time, whichever one you want to do, I don't mind. Either way, the perception is hunger happens, it's going to keep happening. It's going to keep happening until I rip off someone's face or I eat the neighbour's dog. It's just going to progress upwardly, constantly. So what I might as well do is just eat now, because it's only going to get worse until I eat the neighbour's dog and RSPCA get involved. Don't do that, right? So this is perception of hunger. Right, that it's like this. And the challenge with this is that it's not true. Firstly, that's not what hunger is like. If you sit in hunger for long enough, it's not like this. It's just we don't often test sitting in hunger long enough. We just don't. Why? Because we don't have to. It's why majority of us got overweight in the first place. We don't have to sit in hunger, so why not just eat until we don't have to be hungry again, right? And then I used to have this, I will admit, I had this theory when I was overweight. Might as well just make sure I'm not hungry for a long time. Has anyone ever done that? I'm going to eat enough to make sure I'm not hungry for a long time. There is logic. There was logic in my head. Can I just claim that? There was some logic. It was a bit misplaced. However, the logic in my head was if I eat more than this line even, then I'm not going to be hungry for ages. So I don't have to feel uncomfortable at all. Perfect sense, right? Other than the fact I was gaining weight, right? Now, you might be saying, okay, right, talk me through what it's like, Helen. Okay, I will, as you asked, right? So I haven't seen this one before, I've done it in colour again. So this is, have I done this right or wrong? Yes, I have. Had to draw it backwards. This beautiful picture here is the same line, right? You can say time and you can say hunger. Really, hunger is like a wave. If you sit in it long enough to experience that sensation, I'm going to go on screen, okay, time. This is what it actually feels like. it's a wave. Now the peak is the same, the upward trend is the same, but the if you've ever been, I used this morning with somebody, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. Have you ever been really busy at work, got hungry, and then suddenly just forgot? Just forgot, and like, oh, I forgot to eat. I was so busy. Now, something hasn't magically happened to your body where your cells go, oh, quick guys, she's on a Zoom call with 10 people. Best stop making her hungry. No, what's happened is you've been distracted enough that you've not noticed the downward trend. And it might come up a bit later when you're less busy, but actually what's happened is you've ridden out a wave. And that's the true nature of hunger. Now, the point I'm making that I haven't made before, or I've talked about hunger and why it's okay, is that we don't get to experience this. We do not experience this because we don't have to experience this. So why would we? Because we want to lose weight, maybe? Throwing it out there. Because this is the game that I've got someone playing today. And I started playing this game probably 2 years ago myself. I do this. I do. Haha. Get them in there somewhere. So what is the game of hunger? It's a test. Okay, I've talked about this a little bit before. I'm expanding on it today because I think it is very, very appropriate, and certainly because so many people are kickstarting their lives now to come out into normal life again. That remembering some basics and some things that have to happen for you to lose weight. And hunger, unfortunately, is one of them, guys. I have to be honest. I've talked about how to keep hunger at bay. There's water going in. Think about the hunger scale, right? I've talked about this before. 0 in my head is, okay, let's go 0 to 10. That's not 10. It's terrible. 0 being, I'm eating because I'm bored. I'm eating because I'm watching Netflix. I'm eating because I can. 10 being, I vet the dog. The RSP's here on knocking on my door. I've done it. There's just a lead hanging out my mouth. That's how hungry I was. That is a 10. In reality, I'm thinking that was my thinking face. Make sure I'm not going to take a porky now. I've experienced 10 or 11 personally. I've had clients who've experienced a 10. Right? It's not that frequent. It's not that frequent because it's very, very uncomfortable position to be in, because it really pushes your patience, pushes your frustration, may even push your anger, right? It may even push those buttons. The things to ask yourself, you're playing the game of hunger. The game of hunger is the test I've got someone on at the minute. So the test I've got on at the minute is to basically do a 24-hour fast. Now, it's pretty straightforward. You can drink water. Right, there's nothing wrong with that. You can drink water. I checked in with her. I said if she ate before 3 o'clock, I'd be wondering. I checked in with her. Literally, I'm fine, actually, this is okay. I've not heard from her since, so she's not at the dog or anything. However, what's fascinating, if you say to somebody fast for 24 hours, initially, like I said to her yesterday, she was like, oh my God, really? As if it would be impossible. The reality is it's not. What becomes challenging isn't the level of hunger, because you can psychologically go over that. It is actually just your own approach to it and how you deal with it. The game side of it is to push yourself, right? And to make it a bit of a game with yourself. Like, okay, can I make another half an hour? What could you make another hour? Let's make another half hour. Let's see. And the outcome of this isn't going starving people to lose weight. I'm not, right? Because often the interesting thing about this is what happens after you do this. So this is a one-off, by the way. I had somebody loved it so much, like, I want to do it every day. I'm like, no, please don't do it every day. That's not a good idea. We're just doing this as a one-off. Please stop. The idea is that getting comfortable with hunger means that you can gain certain skill sets that help you in different situations. I've mentioned this before as well. So say you do this one day as a trial. You make it the full 24 hours, hypothetically, right? Right, you learn that you have a capacity to deal with the frustration. You learn that it is a wave. You understand how many waves you can cope with, and how much is actually genuine hunger when you get past. I mean, I didn't say on the scale, but for me, anything past a 7 or an 8 increasing up is probably genuine hunger. Anything below a 6 or 7, which is what most people tell me they are when they eat, yeah, stick that bad boy out, right? Because it's not genuine. The thing is about it that most people, if they practice this act, they get they adjust to it, they understand the wave, firstly. Secondly, they can be in more uncomfortable situations and not eat, as in, let's say, this is a testy one. Hi Dexter, this is a Dexter one. It's a testy one. Say the whole family in the car decides to go for a drive-through, and you know you've got a goal you need to get to, and you don't want to eat it. That's a real big test of hunger, right? So you may be hungry, but you know that you can manage it, even if the whole car is sat there eating that takeaway. I mean, that would be the epitome of evil, I think, for most people. Imagine that though, if you had the resilience and the skill set to understand that you can manage your hunger enough to wait until you can choose food that is more conducive to your goal. That would be epic, right? If you're in a position early on and you're in like family situations where there's loads of food and stuff, you're like, well, do you know what, I'm hungry, I could have this, or I could wait because I can deal with my hunger, because I know what real hunger is, and I recognise this isn't real hunger right now, this is temptation, right? But I can tell the difference between the two. The point I'll go back to is that it's really difficult, if not impossible, to make those decisions when you haven't actually experienced what the hunger scale is. If you only ever sit at a 5 or a 6 before you eat, so you're always forever kind of down here somewhere, eating here, going, oh, this is hunger because it's only going to get worse. Previous life Helen, I must eat everything because I don't want to be hungry at all forever, right? If you're forever eating down here, you are never going to experience the reality of hunger, right? Because it's still here, still the same place on that scale in time and hunger, but you're never going to experience what it feels to get to the peak and come back down and then go again. And then yes, okay, I accept, as my lovely mate, can we just appreciate this? I do. It still increases. I recognise that, and it does. The thing is that we never really get past, we're going to go back to start there. If you never get past 4 out of 10 for hunger, you're never really going to appreciate when you really are hungry, and arguably when you're really full as well. There's a whole balancing system between the two. So I'm not asking everybody to go out and not eat for 24 hours. By the way, I'm just saying, if you want to discuss it with your coach if you're working with this, for God's sake, right? However, it's an interesting exercise because it teaches you a lot about what you're capable of. It teaches you a lot about your body. It teaches you even, because the thing I've asked this client to say is what she's noticed. Because there are things you notice. For example, I notice that I do need to drink more water if I'm doing it, because I do, in occasionally remind myself. I notice that I really have to think psychologically about the goal I want in the moments, right? I have to learn how to recall my goal, create my own leverage, know that, yes, I'm feeling hunger. Is that hunger more important than the goal I want to get to? Because then there's nothing dangerous is going to happen. I'm going to make that clear. Unless you do it every day for like 4 months, of course. On a one-off occasion, nothing dangerous will happen other than you being ratty and probably snap at somebody in your household. Other than that, nothing's going to happen other than you learning what real hunger is, and that is what can scare people. I will say this, I've genuinely had people refuse to do it, right? Because they genuinely think, what was the best one I had? That is so unhealthy, I can't do that. That seems unhealthy. That's an unreasonable thing to ask. Client didn't lose weight, right? This client snacked a lot in between meals, right? So that's interesting. If anything I'm saying here makes you kind of go, oh no, couldn't do that, that sounds horrible. No, that's not right. You have to question yourself where you are in your journey. Actually, this is my challenge to you. If you're relatively early on in your journey, you probably have lost contact with what actual hunger is. And arguably, actually, I say that, and even with some of my most experienced clients or clients I've worked with for a few years, it's always an interesting exercise. Right? And Sam's going to kill me. Sam's like, why are all my clients on a 24-hour fast? I don't understand. We're like, sorry. Right? That's why I say speak to your coach first if you work with us. Speak to your coach and get them to guide you through how to set it up, what to do, etc. Because there is actually a process for it, right? It's not just as straightforward as I just made it sound. However, it's important to find out where your hunger's at, right? So I've done hunger and fullness this week. So it's like do both sides of the coin, right? It's good to know what you can do to keep fuller for longer, and also that, you know what, It's not always going to be that way. Sometimes you've got to embrace the hunger, embrace the discomfort, embrace the waves, right, to eventually get to what you want. That's the truth, right? So I will recap on this one. So you can have, as I just said it, really, to be fair, so think about your hunger scale is what I'd leave you with. Think about your 0 to 10. Dad's just saying, I'm going into work 5 days a week now since a year ago. I forgot to eat. There you go. You can forget. That's the thing, when you're distracted with work, you forget to eat. Now that's interesting, right? Because psychologically, your body's not doing anything different than any other day. It's when you really kind of dial into it, right? And then notice it. That's when it becomes a challenge, where people don't lose weight, when they're not recognising when hunger's there, or if they're caving into it straight away. So again, 0 being I'm bored, I'm just watching Netflix. 10 being the neighbour's dog is dead and I've ate it. That is scale of hunger. Anything kind of like 8 and above, I'm saying that's genuine. Think about how close that is. Anything that, if a client ever says to me, oh, it's about 6 or 7, I'm like, no. You're experiencing early hunger, which you're caving into straight away, right? You're not embracing the discomfort. And also, I will say this, another point, you get accustomed to it. Okay, that doesn't mean you're getting accustomed to pain, it's just that you recognise it, it becomes less of a distraction. It doesn't happen as frequently, right? And you just learn how to manage it. So it is interesting because it can be a shock to the system to go, oh my God, that was really hard. It doesn't stay that way though, I'll say that. But yeah, it all comes down to psychologically how you approach it. So next week, this is a good one. I'm talking about splurges on Monday. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Oh, people do have a lot of opinions about that. Wednesday, how to keep the weight off. Because you're talking about losing weight a lot, but what do you do when you get there? And then Thursday, the opposite end of the scale again. Why can't I lose weight? I can tell you why. Right? I've got several reasons. I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 reasons why you might not be losing weight. So next week, that's my ones next week. So why playing splurges is key on Monday. Wednesday, how to keep the weight off. Thursday, why can't I get it off? Maybe I should flip them around, but I feel like changing things up a little bit. So that is me until next Monday. Again, if you've got any questions, comments, etc. Let me say, everybody's going to mention going, I want to play the Hunger Games, Helen. Yay! Yeah, do it. It's fun, right? That's the thing though. I keep leaving bits of things. I think the Hunger Games is fun. Personally, that makes me sound like a bit of a sadist. I think it's great to know how far you can test yourself sometimes and actually be genuinely in a discomforting situation. You are controlling at the end of the day. You can end it at any point, but actually how far you can push it. Just a thought, like I said. Speak to your coach before you do anything. In the meantime, look at this. I love this. Have a fantastic evening. Get out there. It seems to be less blowy now and the sun's still out, so enjoy it. And I'll catch you next week.